Hey everyone, welcome to RiverCity-Media, our coverage of the third round of the playoff of Alabama 2025. I'll get my thoughts right here in a second. Been a long week so far, but anyway, hey, thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Howie along with Heath Hambrick, the editor of the Times Journal in Fort Payne, Southern Torch edition. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, if I gave all of his titles, we'd be here all night and everything would be
Yeah,
done. But hey, thanks for doing these with us for the last couple of weeks. And Phil Harris may be joining us here in a few minutes. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll go ahead and get started. And then whenever Phil joins us, we'll kind of uh, maybe backtrack a little bit and see his thoughts on some of this.
yeah,
So we'll get started real quick with the 1A division, even though we don't have anybody in the North that's in this part, but we'll go ahead and give the schedule out where Marion County will be hosting Addison. Says the 21st, so it's on Friday night, I guess, unless they hadn't updated the schedule yet. A lot of games have been changed. We'll get into that here in a few minutes. And then Wadley will be hosting Hubbardsville. Uh, for anybody that knows anything about 1A football, those four teams right there are teams that you hear about year in and year out in the 1A classifications, Heath.
yeah. That you know, all of them has won a state championship at some point. Wadley won last year, and I think they're probably going to be there again this year playing a Maplesville team that beat Fife because Maplesville was just they're barrel rolling over people down in the south. So um, that should be they played last year. Wadley had a big running back. I don't know if he's back or not this year, but they couldn't stop him last year. So I think it'll be them two again.
Yeah, some reason I'm thinking he was like a junior.
Yeah.
So I think he'll be back could be back for another year. I'm
Yeah.
not sure about that. So that's your 1A North bracket. Here we go with the 2A uh, brackets in the North, and we do have a team or two in the North Division that we still cover. Pisgah will be traveling to Southeastern. Uh, he's that game still going to be on Friday night.
Yes, I talked to a couple of coaches at Pisgah, and they said that the Southeastern wasn't going to move it. Their size and as big as they are, that they want a mud pit, I guess, is what they want to play in. So, and obviously, I think Southeastern runs the football. Pisgah's going to throw it around. So, um, yeah, for Southeastern being the host team, they probably want to just play it in the rain, play an ugly game. So, I still like Pisgah in this one. They've neither of these teams have played any common opponents. Southeastern went over and kind of got a. I don't know if you call it an upset or not. But they went over to Red Bay and won last week, so
Right.
um, kind of deal there. Uh, Vincent gave Pisgah all they wanted to start with, and Pisgah pulled away late. So uh, I look for Coach Gilbert and the Eagles to be prepared, and they'll go down the rim lap and uh, hopefully come back with a victory and be sitting in the semifinals next week.
And something else that Southeastern's probably thinking about, A, with their size and everything, wanting to make it an ugly game, but B, Pisgah likes to throw the ball around a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So they may be thinking, hey, if we can get a wet ball out there, that may be an advantage for us.
Yeah, I agree. Um, I'm sure there's been a lot of wet ball drills this week at Pisa. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
mm,
That's in the top of the northern bracket, and then we'll move on down to the bottom part of the northern bracket where Coosa Christian will be playing host to Tuscaloosa Academy. And
mm.
that's going to be a pretty good game. I feel like because of Tuscaloosa Academy speed that they've got.
Well, these two teams played 3 weeks ago. They played week 9 in their season, and Coosa Christian went down to Tuscaloosa Academy and won 56-21. So, and I think they played twice last year too. Um, I still like Coosa in this. I think Coosa's got they're probably the best team in the state that's not ranked number one. So,
Right.
a lot of that with the rankings for me with them is you really didn't know, honestly, when the season started, whether they going to be eligible or not.
Right.
So I didn't Me personally, I didn't rank them because of that in the early polls because you didn't know,
Mhm.
and then you started ranking them. So, and then obviously they played a schedule. Talk about people that can't find people to play them.
Right.
Pierce County, they went to Pierce County, Georgia, back to back years. They played Pell City, played Blunt, and then Tuscaloosa Academy. So they played a schedule.
Yeah, playing playing teams in upper classifications and everything, and but yeah, like you said, they played 3 weeks ago, and it's a little bit of a one-sided game. But when playoff time rolls around, you don't know what to expect from these kids, and so
Yeah.
uh, you know, Tuscaloosa Academy, yeah, they got that long drive to come up here to
Mm-hmm.
Gaston, basically, and I still say that when you're in the playoffs, you always got a shot.
Mm-hmm. You're down to. I mean, we talked about it last week. There's no easy game
No,
anymore. So um, everybody's good at this point. There's no cupcakes. These two teams have played two common opponents, Isabella and Susan Moore. Uh, Tuscaloosa Academy lost to Isabella 21-19. Coos Christian 56-14 the winner. And then Susan Moore, both teams won that game. Tuscaloosa Academy 35-14 and Coosa 56-26. Uh, Coosa playing in their 2A games, they're averaging about 50 points a game.
right.
So, uh, but like you said, anything can happen on any given night.
Yeah, we saw. We'll talk about a few of them here shortly, but we saw a few upsets kind of last week. We feel like, and so that's I always joke around with a lot of people. That's why they play the games just to see. You know, you never know, so that's why they play the games. And then so we'll move down to the south real quick. Talk about a couple of teams that you always hear about year in year out. And some of these teams you never know if they're going to be in the north or the south bracket.
Mm-hmm.
But this year, Laverne against Lynette, uh, that's going to be a hard fought game. And then Providence Christian against Reeltown. Lynette, Laverne, and Reeltown are teams that you hear about year in year out in the playoffs in 2A.
Yeah, Laverne actually has the longest playoff streak in the state of any classification. They've made the playoffs every year since 1984.
For some reason, I did not know that.
41 years. And, it's the home, I don't say home, but a former University of Alabama coached there to the state championship game. Mike Bose did. So,
Right.
yeah, they beat GW Long last week. And Laverne's the number one team in the state for a reason. Just very solid football team, and I look for that to continue. And I think it's them in real time in the South to see who comes out to go Birmingham.
Let's jump back to the Coosa game real quick. I don't think we touched on it. Do we know for sure if they're playing Friday or Thursday?
I believe they're playing Friday. The only games I saw that had been moved uh, were obviously Plainview's been moved to tomorrow. Uh, uh, and then because of they moved, Dessler moved. So
Oh,
Dessler and um, I forgot even who they we'll talk about it in a minute. Dessler's game moved. And then Scottsboro moved, and I forgot there was another one in Ramsey, or not Ramsey. There's another game down south that they moved.
okay.
So
Maybe
it
here,
wasn't many.
maybe when I run across it on the brackets, it'll show that they have changed. So let's move to the 3A division and the north side there, where excuse me, the number one team in state in 3A, Mars Hill Bible, will play host to Geraldine. And of course, we've both kind of covered Geraldine all year long, and this game is still scheduled for Friday night. And uh, I got a feeling that Geraldine is going to have to play one of their best games of the year to be able to beat a very good, very talented Mars Hill Bible.
Yeah, I think you're right. Excuse me. I think John Beckblade may have to have a career night to win this. Everything I've seen about Marcel Bible, they're better than they were last year. They had a lot of people back off that state championship team last year. These two teams played last year in a close game. Uh, Marcel came to Geraldine and walked away with a 27-21 win. So you look at that, and there is history there. I think this will be the I don't know how many meetings they've had together. They've met twice. Each team has won one apiece. So yeah, they played. This will be the third meeting in 4 years, and
Right.
both were in the second round playoffs previously, and they've both been close games. Geraldine won 17-14, and then last year Marcel won 27-21. So I mean, I don't count out Michael Davis. He's the one that can pull an upset or beat a team that you think you wasn't going to beat. I mean,
Right.
for example, five. You know, for some reason he has had very good success in games like that. So uh, don't count him out tomorrow night or Friday
Yeah.
night. I'm sorry, Friday night.
Right. You gotta feel like that Geraldine is going to hope and pray for a 3 and 3/4 yards
Mhm.
every time the ball is run. To just kind of slow the pace of the game down because Mars Hill wants to keep that offense out there as much
Yeah,
as
yeah.
possible.
Geraldine can take the game plan they had against Fife and keep the ball.
Mm,
Well, I forgot how long it was, but they had a drive. It ended one quarter and then went halfway through the second quarter. So um, if they can do that, keep them off the field, should limit the amount of possessions they have, you'll have a chance to win.
it was 18 plays.
Yeah,
I don't know how much time it was, but it's 18 plays because I remember you sent me the text, and I'm like, "Holy cow, 18 plays! That
yeah.
had to be."
I think it was. It had to be like 8-9 minutes. Um, when I played high school, we had a game like that. We played Arab. Uh, we ran the Veer at Scottsboro, and we went over to Arab. We got the ball to start the game and kept it until 2 minutes into the second quarter. We kept it the whole quarter, and it did end with a touchdown. So uh, good play calling by Scott Keelan. So um,
Yeah,
who
I think
is
I remember hearing that game on the radio. I
mm,
was at home listening to it, and
yeah,
Phil was calling the game. I think
yeah,
I know there's
yes,
one game where Phil called it, and Scottsburg got the opening kickoff and kept it the whole first quarter,
hmm
and like nearly a minute into the second quarter
yeah.
before they scored.
We did that twice that year. We did it against Gunnersville too,
Okay.
just keeping it, and it was. I mean, you limit their possessions, you know. So
And when you're going against a high-powered offense, and that's
mhm.
kind of what you
it's
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 what you
three
want.
yards. I remember that week in practice. They rolled out a fire hose and said 3 yards. Get there and stop. We'll go again. So yeah, we did that all the time. So
Wow. Yeah. And we move on to the bottom half of the North bracket, where Piedmont will be hosting Gordo, in which both of these teams are uh, known throughout the state for their playoff appearances and everything. And let me backtrack just a second. Hey, something I should have done earlier and didn't do it. But Marsville Bible defeated Winfield 42-6 to
mm,
go up against Geraldine, where Geraldine beat a very good Westbrook Christian team 31-15, and then on with this other one down here, Piedmont, a 36-0 victory over Fife to move on to this quarterfinals, and then Gordo with a huge win over Colbert County,
yeah,
49-29, to set up this Piedmont Gordo game, and that should be a game to watch right there.
yeah. It is that the field of champions. So uh,
Yeah.
yeah, the thing you talk about that Fife game last week with Piedmont. That's the first time since 1999 that Fife hasn't scored at least a point in a ball game. Plainview did that year. They beat them 21-0 um, in '99, and I just it kind of surprised me when I saw the score there. I didn't know if they could go over there and win, but I thought they would put up some points. I,
Right.
I think Ryder Gibson got hurt at some point early in the first half, is what I was told. So that might have had something to do with it. But yeah, Piedmont's the deal. Fife held them to their second lowest total in on the year. Cherokee County held them 24 points, five held them 36. So I like Piedmont in this matchup. I think Piedmont and Mars Hill, I think, are the two in the top. But like you said before, anything can happen.
Yep, absolutely. And Gordo's got to take that long trip to Piedmont too, and
Mm-hmm.
you never know how kids are going to react on that bus, and if it is a legit school bus, is it going to be a charter bus? What time are they going to be able to get away from there? And then also, with it being on Friday night, and we both know Piedmont enjoys chunking that ball around,
Mm-hmm.
will the weather affect Raleigh Pinto in the Piedmont passing attack that has been known to put up a lot of air yards all year long?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Um, yeah, Gordo, that's north of Tuscaloosa, I think, somewhere up that way. So it's a trip.
Mm, absolutely. So, and then in our south, bottom half of the bracket in the 3A, the South Division, you got Southside Selma going against Glenwood at home, and then you got Bayside Academy going against Montgomery Academy. And from what I'm hearing, most everybody's saying the winner of the Bayside Academy, Montgomery Academy, will be in the finals of the 3A division.
Yeah, more than likely. Um, I like Southside Selma to get to the semifinals, but I think Montgomery Academy is the team to come out of the South in 3A.
Yeah, so that would be one to watch too if you got the uh, capability of watching it on the Alabama Sports, whatever. It could be the game of the week. I don't really know, but you
Game
would
of the
think.
week is Thompson Central Phoenix.
Okay, well, another good
Yeah,
choice for
yeah,
the game of the week. So let's move on to the 4A division, which has Good Hope with a 31-7 win over West Morgan. So that means that they will host Plainview this week, where Plainview had a
yeah,
42-14 win over Alexandria. And you know the Bears just keep on rolling week in and week out, putting up a lot of points. Heath.
yeah. And Owen Hope and that offensive line behind that offensive line just continues to make him holes, and the defense just they keep having a great. They stopped a good Alexandria team who very good on offense and shut them down. And I'll be at this game tomorrow night. Never been to Good Hope. I know it's on the other side of Coleman, so
Right,
it'll be a little drive. It's not that far. I think it's about an hour and a half. So,
right.
but gonna leave at 3 o'clock, head down there, and um, yeah, this Good Hope played Fife and Jamboree back in the spring. They beat Fife, but they've got a kid. I cannot remember his name. He's got over 1,300 yards passing, 1,300 yards. He's got like 1,000 yards rushing. So he's put up a lot of offense. I think he's their offensive weapon. So if you can stop him, I mean, I still like playing in this game. I think they can. They're having a season, and I think it keeps going.
Plainview's defense Friday night. I was there for the first half of the game, and then came home and watched the rest of it on the TV. And but the first half that I was seeing, you couldn't. I don't want to use the word that I'm going to use, but you couldn't out trick Plainview. They stayed at home. You
Yeah.
you can't. Plainview stays at home on defense. They're not going to be out of place or anything like that. So they're always where they need to be at. They're making the stops and the tackles that they need as well.
Yeah, I think Jeremy have them ready
Yeah.
tomorrow night. So, um, yeah, in what they're doing, the offense is fun to watch. To me, the best part of watching their game is that offensive line because they push people around. And I wish Alabama would take a cue from that. Uh, but no, and tomorrow night, if they can come out with a win, it will be Coach Dale Pruitt's 300th in the state of Alabama. He's sitting on 299 in Alabama, so he's got 334. But to get 300 in Alabama would put him in the top 10, I do believe. So it's been a great year for them.
And like you said, this game is tomorrow night because they have
Yes.
moved it. And the other games that we're going to be talking about, Anniston with a 44-12 win over Madison Academy, and Deschler was a 31-30 win over Hamilton, meaning Deschler will host Anniston.
Yep.
And that also means that since Plainview moved, they moved their game as well.
That is.
A little
Yeah.
sportsmanship, I guess, going on there.
Yeah. So they, yeah, Dexter had to win overtime, I think. Um, Aniston and Plainview played in Jamboree at Marysville to start the season. I think they Plainview won by 1 point. They only played a half, but Aniston's just they've been scoring a lot. They beat Aniston 20-18, so I don't know if you take that comparison with Plainview, but I've been to Tuscumbia, I've been to Deshler. It is not an easy place to win. So I think Dessler may get them, and to me that would be an upset because
Right.
Dessler's ranked higher than them, or Innocent's ranked higher than them. You don't count out the Dessler Tigers at home.
Yeah.
They're usually pretty good over there.
And kind of something we spoke on earlier when we started this preview stuff, people that's kept up with
Mhm.
what's going on in Deshler, they got a lot to play for over there.
Yeah, they do.
So they're gonna have a big fan support and everything there. And, I, and I'm trying to figure it out, and I may be totally wrong, but it looks like that if Plainview wins,
Regardless, they're at home.
okay, that's what I
Yeah,
was thinking.
because they're on the top. But because Aniston and whoever wins, they all have an equal number of travels, and then it goes to the top of the bracket. So Plainview will be
Okay,
at home in the semis.
okay,
So
that's what I
that's a
was.
good thing for them.
Yeah,
So
that's what I was fixing to say. I was thinking that's the way I was looking at it right, but sometimes the old eyes
yep.
don't work right. So, but now moving to the south part of the bracket, we got Jackson hosting WS Neal, and then you got St. Michael Catholic that'll be playing host to Bullitt County. And honestly, these 4A schools down south are kind of new to this playoff
Mhm.
deep run that they're in.
Everybody but Jackson. Jackson's been there before. And, you know, I think Jackson and St. Michael's are probably going to play next week. But Bullitt County last week or 2 weeks ago in the first round won their first ever playoff game. Then they backed it up and won their second one last week. So, um, congratulations to them. But now you got to go play the number one team in the state, who's scoring a lot of points. Um, so I think Coach Philip Rivers and his son are
Right,
probably going to win that one, and it'll be Jackson and St. Michael's again next week in the semis. Uh, Jackson's very athletic. I don't think WSLM stands a chance in
right.
that.
So, and we'll move on to our 5A division, Class 5A, where Fairview will be playing host to Scottsboro. And I don't know if anybody saw on River City Media last night, we had Coach Tyler Van and a few of the players on, and they were taking some offense to some of the stuff that's coming out of Fairview, saying that they don't even need to show up. They no reason to
Mhm.
even make that trip, and I feel like they're going to show up fired up and ready to play come
Mhm.
tomorrow night.
Yeah, I've talked about it publicly. Fairview's been ranked number 4 all year long. I don't think they're a number 4 team in the state. Scottsboro is gonna come. They're gonna be ready to play, and they're gonna get you in the mouth. Um, Scottsboro's played a schedule that has prepared them for this point,
Mm,
and you look at the 3 teams these teams have played that are common opponents. They played Sardis, Arab, and West Point. Here's the scoring difference: the Sardis game, Scottsboro won 42-7. Fairview beat Sardis by 2, 41-39. Arab, Scottsboro won 28-7. Arab beat them 14-7. Or Fairview beat Arab 14-7. The only game that was comparable was West Point. Scottsboro won by 3, or 45-14. Fairview won 42-14. That's the only game that's comparable to the two. So I like my one in this game because of the schedule they played. You look at who they've lost to. You take away the Brewer loss, which
right.
is unexplainable. Um,
Well, we kind of talked to
yeah,
Coach Van about that last
yeah,
night, and the players, and Coach Van's like, "This is one that's going to stick with me for a long time,"
yeah,
and some of the players said the same thing as well.
yeah. And you look, they lost to by 2 to a 10-2 Fort Payne team. They lost to a very, very good Central Clay County team who's still in the playoffs in the South in 5A. And then they lost to probably the best team in the North Alabama, Marshall Bible. So, um, yeah, no slouch of the schedule there, and I think they'll be prepared. And if you're Fairview, you need to take a cue from St. Clair County. Be careful what you wish for. So, St. Clair County did a lot of talking too. So uh, you can,
Coach Fan made a
yeah,
prediction last night that the game will probably be over with by 8:30, with as much as both teams likes to run the ball.
yeah. It'll be, it should be over quickly. And I've been to Fairview a few times. Um, 2 years I have to North Jackson. We played them 1 year and beat them 42-14 in region championship game. So uh, and they were good then. Coach Randy does a good job. He's been there a long time. Great guy. Met him. He's a good guy. And I mean, they've had a great year. I mean, you're sitting at 12-0. Hosted a quarterfinal playoff game. I don't know if they've ever done that before. Um, they're 1-1 at home in the quarterfinals. And if you look at stats like that, if you're a stats guy, Scottsboro's never won a quarterfinal game on the road. Hopefully that changes tomorrow night if you're a Scottsboro fan.
Right.
So, first, I don't believe this is accurate because I saw something earlier that Fairview and Scottsboro have played before. This says it's the first time ever they played. Um, and judging by what I saw, I trust the guy that I saw it from. So,
Right.
uh,
So to get us here at this point, Fairview beat Jacksonville 28-13, and Scottsboro with a 42-6 win over St. Clair County. So that's how we got to this point here. And of course, the winner of that game will play either Moody, that defeated Priceville 60-14, which will be
mhm.
hosting Briarwood Christian with a 42-7 win over Russellville. So Moody hosting Briarwood Christian. The winner of this game will end up playing the winner of the Scottsboro Fairview game. And
Yeah. And if, regardless of who wins this game, um, well, I have to go back. Uh,
I'm looking at it, it seems like they'll go back to the top of the bracket. So regardless
yeah,
of who
it will
wins the
be.
Fairview or
Yeah,
Scottsboro,
yeah.
because
It will,
Fairview actually traveled to
they
Jackson,
have.
so they have.
They traveled and yeah. So if regardless of who wins the Briarwood Moody game, they're on the road next week.
Yeah, so
Uh,
Fairview or Scottsboro one of those two will actually be
yeah.
playing at home next week in the semifinals. And as well as I do, every coach and every player across the state of Alabama wants to have a Black Friday game.
Mhm.
I guess you could call it.
Yeah, I've been a part of one, and it was on the road at Dexter, and it was not a good night, but it was neat to play it. It was a bad night all the way around. Alabama lost to Cam Newton that day, so it was not good. Um, but yeah, Scottsboro people I've talked to that they want Briarwood to win, but they've got to take care of business first. Um, Moody is a team that is loaded with seniors. They've got 39 seniors. I don't think I've ever heard that before on a team. That's a lot of seniors. Um, that's too many. You can't play them enough. I mean, you can't get 39 kids out there. So um, they played tough schedule too. They played Auburn High School, went over and played Gainesville, Georgia. So they played some tough teams. But Briarwood has been there. They've done this before, and don't count out the Lions of Briarwood. They've been in this situation before, and they can pull an upset. So I wouldn't count them out.
And just to kind of recap a little bit, Scottsboro Fairview tomorrow night, not Friday night, but tomorrow night at Fairview.
Yeah.
And Heath, will y'all be covering the game on the radio?
It will be on 101.7 The Torch. The guys are uh, talk to them today. They'll be down there, and there's also if you can't make the trip to Fairview, there's a lot party um, on the square in Scottsboro at Two Sisters Square. Um, I can't. I don't know what side of the courthouse that's on in Scottsboro, but you can go there and watch the game. They'll have a live feed on the NFHS network that you can hear or watch, and then I think they're going to pipe in our our guys the commentary. So you'll have some play by play too from Justin and Heath. So should be fun. So if you can't go to the game, the Fairview tomorrow night, you can go to the square and watch it.
That'd be cool. That'd be awesome.
Yep.
Moving on, we'll go down to the south part of the bracket. Viger with a 49-28 win over the north side. That means that Viger will be hosting Central of Clay County that won 21-2. That is one of the most unusual football scores you'll ever see.
Yeah.
But and then moving on further down, you got uh, Montgomery Catholic with a 38-15 win over Shelby County. And then you got Williamson with a 42-14 win over Elmore County that makes Montgomery Catholic hosting Williamson. And so the Viger, Central Clay County, Montgomery Catholic, and Williamson are the South people trying to get to the finals or semifinals this week. Central Clay County, you hear a lot of. That's, if I'm mistaken, that's Danny Horn. Is that
It
correct?
is. This Coach Danny Horn, winningest coach in the state. Been there, not a whole lot he hasn't seen. He's going to play a tough Viger team. Uh, but I think the Volunteers may pick up the win in this one and get him to the semis. The other game, Williamson is a very, very good football team. They're number one in the state. They beat a team earlier in the year 100-0.
Wow.
And uh, yeah, so Williamson can score a lot of points. So,
Yep, absolutely. I'm doing some very quick math, which is not very good, but they're averaging a little over 40 points a game in the playoffs. And everybody knows that once you get to playoffs, there's not really pushovers anywhere. So,
yeah,
and they're giving up 14 points a game. It's crazy.
they've had,
Williamson's first round against Eufaula was 50-14, and then second round was 42-14 against Elmore County. So they're giving up exactly 14 points a game, but they're averaging around 45 points a game.
yeah, they've only gave it 14's the most points they've given up all year, and they've done it 3 times. They've had 5 shutouts.
Wow.
Uh, yeah, so that defense is tough. And they've played a pretty good schedule. UMS Wright, Faith Academy, Viger. Viger's a close game they had, 22-14. And Eufaula's no slouch either, the first round of playoffs. So, and then they played Wayne County, Mississippi, to open the year. But yeah, they beat Murphy 100-0.
So that's our 5A division. We'll move on up to 6A. Unfortunately, we had our kind of lone 6A in the north side of Fort Payne ended up
Yeah.
losing this past week to Mountain Brook 35-14. But we got Muscle Shoals with a 17-14 win over A.H. Parker. So that makes Mountain Brook hosting Muscle Shoals. And then on the bottom part of the north bracket, you got Clay Chalkville with a 44-7 win over Gaston City, and the Homewood with a 31-24 win over Hartselle, where Clay Chalkville will be hosting Homewood. So you saw this Mountain Brook team play last week, and have you saw Muscle Shoals play?
I have not, but well, I've seen them on tape. They got a very good defense. They've only their most points they've given up in a game 17. So and that was against Hartselle. They're scoring a lot of points. Mountain Brook gives up a lot of points. They've given up a lot. They didn't against Fort Payne, but like I said, Fort Payne last week. All the injuries they had on defense finally came to a head. I guess last week with not missing 3 of their leading tacklers and a couple guys on the line. And it just kind of it was just unfortunate for them. It was 35-0 at half. Now they came out and played better in the second half. Um, had a good couple of series in the third quarter and got back in and scored 14 points. But yeah, Fort Payne had a good year, 10-2. Not a lot of people expected that out of them after what they lost last season.
Right.
But the back-to-back 10-win seasons, 3 straight years in the second round playoffs, that's the first never done before in the history of the school. So Mountain Brook was just like I said, well-oiled machine. They ran the ball, and Fort Payne couldn't stop it, and um, had a couple of backs by the last name Andrews, which would be Dr. James Andrews' grandchildren, I do believe. Um, and they ran the ball and it ended up winning the game. Got up early and kind of uh, put their foot down. I guess is the way to put it. But I like Muscle Shoals in this game. They're good. I think they're on a head-on collision with Clay Chalk. And that game would be at Muscle Shoals actually,
Oh wow.
because Muscle Shoals is on the top of the bracket.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, that'd be interesting next week.
Yeah. When you were texting me the scores Friday night, I was really surprised as far as you know. At first, the first score you sent me, I think it was 14-0, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, that,
Yeah, it was 14-0 quick. I couldn't get it out fast enough.
yeah.
So I was like, man,
And then all of a sudden, I guess the next two touchdowns were pretty quick too because it went
yeah,
from 14-0 to 28-0. And I'm like, what happened to 7 and 21 there? It just kind of
yeah.
are they doubling their points?
Fort Payne, Mount Brook took the ball, or Fort Payne got 3 and out to start the game, and they scored the next play, and then got 3 and out again, scored. I mean, it was Fort Payne. I don't think they crossed midfield until late in the second quarter. Just the defense of Mount Brook was good too last week. So,
Yeah. So we'll move on down to the South Division there. Benjamin Russell. It's crazy how some of these teams are not but a few miles apart, but some of them's in north and some's in the south. But anyway,
mm-hmm.
Benjamin Russell will be playing host to Hueytown. Benjamin Russell with a 21-14 win over Theodore, and then Hueytown with a big win over Russell County, 49-29. And then the
Yeah,
bottom part of that bracket, you got Pike Road, 28-6 over Bessemer City, and then Saraland, which everybody knows about Saraland, a 35-31 win over Spain Park. So that puts Pike Road hosting Saraland, and then Benjamin Russell hosting Hueytown.
yeah. The Pike Road Saraland game could be interesting, but I like Saraland in this one. They haven't, other than prior to getting in the playoffs, they hadn't given up a whole lot of points. But and then Pike Road's got 2 losses, one to Enterprise, one to Opelika. So 2 7A teams. Um, but I like Sarah Lane in that one. The other game, Hueytown entered the playoffs at 5-5 and has pulled off 2 wins. Win over Russell County won 10 games. So they'd had their best year school history, or at least in recent memory. So I like Ben Russell. Ben Russell's pretty good from what I hear. They beat They beat Clay County 40-7. So that ought to tell you something.
Right.
So I like Ben Russell to play Sarah Lane next week.
Yeah, looking at some of these, the Hueytown playoff run, 35-28 win over Pelham, and then the 49-29 over Russell County. You've been around this a long time, and you know as well as I do. All it takes is just with high school kids, just a touch of confidence, and that'll set them over the top, and they can go on a huge run.
Yeah, you look at Hueytown's losses: Clay Charlton, Mount Brook, Hillcrest, Tuscaloosa by 1 point, and then Pinson Valley. I mean, that's pretty good 6A schools, or 7A in some cases. And but they won the games they needed to win. They won their region games and were able to I believe they were a 2 seed out of that. So went on a little run here.
Right. So that's your 6A bracket. And now we're going to move over to 7A, even though they're we don't have anybody close by in the 7A, but we'll still go over it real quick just to let everybody know about it. Let's see, Auburn with a big win over Daphne, 40-0, and then Opelika with a 35-9 win over Baker. So that puts Auburn hosting Opelika, which is what 5 minutes apart, 10 minutes apart, something
Yeah,
like
it's a
that.
rivalry game. They played earlier in the year, and Auburn won 17-10. So how about this? 3 of the 4 teams in the semifinals in 7A are from Lee County.
Right. Wow. That's
so,
crazy. Uh,
so, uh, Yeah.
and and to let everybody know, this is their semifinals this week
Yes, this is their
because
semifinals. Yeah.
they don't have enough to do the
Yeah.
full 5 rounds of playoffs. They've only got the four, and so that is the if you consider Auburn and Opelika north, that is the north part of the bracket.
Yeah. The only team to me that's in the north is Thompson,
Yeah,
and then they're south of Birmingham. So,
and they've got them in the south part of the bracket.
yeah, yeah.
Them
So,
and Hoover both was in the south part
mhm.
of the bracket. But anyway, Thompson was a huge 54-0 win over Mary G. Montgomery, and then you got Central Phoenix City 34-15 win over Fairhope. So you got Central Phoenix City hosting Thompson, and Thompson's been the pretty much the powerhouse in 7A for the last several years.
Yeah, and these two teams, I believe they met in the state championship game last year. Um,
Probably.
and this is the game of the week that'll be on Alabama Public TV and PBS. And to me, this is the two best teams out of the four. Um, it's a shame they're not going to play in 2 weeks in Birmingham, but I, Central Phoenix coach Patrick Nix, he's been there and he's been consistent and won a state title. And this is their only loss this year is to IMG Academy, 49-14. Thompson, I mean, it's no slouch either for them. They lost to Grayson, Georgia by 1 point, lost to Clay Chalkville by 4 points, and then lost to Hoover by 3. It just seems like Hoover has their number in the regular season.
Yeah.
So, but it changes if they play in the playoffs. It seems like Thompson gets them then. But two good coaches, Patrick Nix and Mark Freeman. So I got to go with Central in this one. They're at home, so I'm taking Central.
As Phil Harris would say, it's like when Thompson hits the playoffs, they turn it up a notch,
Mhm.
and it's a whole different team and aspect that hits the field when they're out there. And it's just something about Thompson when they see Week 11 roll around in the playoffs. It's like, all right, guys, it's time to start the season now, and here we go. And they just up it a level. It seems like.
Yeah, so if you want to go see a 7A semifinal game, you got to go to Lee County because they're both in Lee County. And that's neat. I don't know if that's ever, well, I don't know if that's ever happened before. Uh, to have 4 teams from the same county in the same class in the semifinals.
Yeah, I don't know if that's ever
I don't,
happened
I
either.
don't think that could happen, depending, especially not up here.
Right.
So, but
But like we said, this is the semifinals this week. The winner this week will not play next week. They will play December 3rd, which I think is on a
it's a
Wednesday
Wednesday. Yeah.
at 7. And 7A is always the ones that kicks off the Super 7 at Birmingham. So they will play on Wednesday night at 7 o'clock. And if I'm not mistaken, all the state championship games will be on Alabama Public Television.
Yes. Yeah, they will. I think they're going to carry the two flag football state championship games that will also be played on Wednesday
Okay.
too. We got a team from up here that's still in that. Um, I believe Boaz is still playing. They actually play John Carroll with a chance to go to the semifinals. I don't know when they play. They may play tomorrow. I know they're not playing today, so I think it's tomorrow. Uh, you have in flag football, don't mean to get off on a tangent, but flag football, you have two classifications. You have a 1 and 5A and a 6 and 7A. So, yeah, Boaz is still in it. They play John Carroll probably tomorrow at John Carroll. So they got to travel to Birmingham.
Yeah. I don't know if you know or not, but the founder of RiverCity-Media, Randy Cunningham, his daughter is a starting center for Hickson
Hmm.
girls flag football up in Tennessee,
Okay.
and so we do cover flag football in the Tennessee area, and but it's a growing population or growing sport, I guess you can say.
Yeah, I think this is the third or fourth year they've had flag football. I think this is the second year they've expanded to two classes. So it is growing. I don't know of any up here that may have it. I've heard there may be one or two schools that are going to get it in DeKalb County. Obviously, Albertville has it, Boaz has it, but nobody in Jackson or DeKalb County has flag football. Um, be interesting to see if that changes or not.
And something that people don't realize is that flag football is, yeah, it's a state recognized sport, but also the Atlanta Falcons is a big supporter of that and helps teams get started. Um, every week they have a flag football team there at the Mercedes Benz before their home game to introduce them and let them get the feel of being at a big stadium and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And but like with Hicks and Randy's daughter and all that, they're supported by the Tennessee Titans,
Yeah,
and they did all that stuff. But for Alabama, Alabama is a Atlanta Falcon subsidiary, I guess you could call it.
yeah,
I don't really know, but the Falcons take care of most of the Alabama, try and get them started up and going. And I know every year they have a meeting in Birmingham for all the coaches to get together and like a session, a learning session as far as how to do things and everything. So the Falcons put that on during the summer as well. So,
okay,
but it's a growing, a big growing sport, and I read about it a lot because of they always talk about it in our emails that the Falcons sent out to season ticket holders, and so I get to read about a lot of it and see when all that stuff is going on. And anyway, didn't mean to get off on the flag football stuff.
yeah.
Sorry about that,
Sorry.
but no, no, it's all good. But Heath, I don't know about you, but it just seemed like it was like 2 weeks ago. We were in week zero, getting ready to prepare for. I was at North Jackson, getting ready to watch North Jackson and Sylvania, and here we
Yeah,
are. It's a week before Thanksgiving, and we're in the semifinals of the playoffs or our
yeah.
quarterfinals.
Yeah, it's went by quick. I mean, we were talking about it. I ended my scoreboard show last week. We don't do it after last week, and I thought, man, 13 weeks have done passed. Because we start week zero and we go to week two in the playoffs, and I was like, man, can't believe this is already over, and started covering basketball games. So, yeah, it. But luckily, still got a couple more football games hopefully to go to. Maybe one of the two teams I've got will win tomorrow this week and move on to next week. It'd be neat to go cover a semifinal game next week.
It'd be great to be able to do that, locally that we got in, and I'm going to try to name them off without looking, but we've got the Coosa Christian, Pisgah, Plainview, Scottsboro. I think that's all we got left right now.
Geraldine,
Geraldine, forgot
yeah,
about Geraldine. I knew I'd
Geraldine,
forget about
yeah,
one of them,
Geraldine.
Coach Davis. I'm sorry about that. It's just trying to do it off the top of my head, and it's hard for me to remember some
Scottsboro. Did
things.
you mention Scottsboro?
I did mention
Okay, I missed
Scottsboro.
that. Sorry.
Coach Davis don't have my number, but Coach Van does, so he'd be more than happy to
Yeah,
text me and let me know that, hey, especially after having him on the show last night. So, but yeah, it's been great. It's been a great run these last 3 weeks. Having you on here as well, Heath. We
yeah, it's
appreciate
been
it.
fun. I've enjoyed it.
It's been great. Something maybe we can expand a little bit on it next year and
Yeah.
even do a little bit more. And I know you told us, but go ahead and tell us again as far as you'll be covering who all your people will be covering this week.
Well, I'll be at me and Eli will be at Plainview or the Plainview game at Good Hope tomorrow night, and then Drew and John from the Sand Mountain Porter they're going to go to Geraldine on Friday night. I'm going to go take in a pretty good basketball game Friday night. Fort Payne to host Outlaw, so get to see the Smallwood girl. She comes to Fort Payne, but yeah, I'll be at Plainview tomorrow night, and then John and then we'll be at. In Florence with the Geraldine Bulldogs at Mars Hill. And then, of course, you can hear Scottsboro on 117 The Torch tomorrow night. Jason will be there. And then Pisgah game Friday night. I'm sure Jason will go to it too. So he'll get to cover two this week.
And I was going to ask you, what are you going to do on your Friday nights now since football's over with? But apparently, you don't get a Friday night off. You do right into
No,
basketball.
no, I wouldn't be going if they wouldn't play an outroll. I mean, I would be, I'd probably take the night off, but Been at basketball the last two nights, and then football tomorrow night, and then basketball on Friday, and then I'm not doing anything this weekend. So uh, everybody kind of travels. Thanksgiving week next week, so we'll have some basketball during the day. There's a big tournament at Gunnersville High School, hosted by Supreme Court. So some pretty good teams going to be playing in it. So I'll be down there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, leading up with that. So I know Fort Payne goes down there. Fife's going to go, and then Scottsboro's there. So a section. So it's pretty good teams.
No rest for the sports reporters.
No, not at all.
No off season for the
I
sports.
will tell you this: they're giving rain for next week uh, every day. There will not be any games moved next week. You're playing on Friday regardless because you're not going to play on Thanksgiving. So,
Nope.
and you're not going to play on Saturday with it being Iron Bowl. So you're going to have to play in the rain next week regardless. So,
Regardless of who it is, where it's at, anything like
yeah,
that, you will be playing 1 week from Friday night.
yeah.
Somebody's going to be playing somewhere, and we hope that. I think we figured out Scottsboro will be at home. Is that correct? If they
Scott's, we could potentially have three semifinal games in Jackson and Cab County. Pisgah could be at home. Plainview could be at home. And so will Scottsboro. Now, Geraldine was upset they'd be at home too, so we could potentially have four, which
that'd
would
be awesome.
be be crazy. So
I'm not big on getting wet out in the rain, but with four of those teams playing close by, I might be willing to get out and get wet.
the last time I can remember having that many this close would be like 99 or 2000. Um, I think we had two semifinal games going on close to. So be neat to do it again.
Be awesome. So Heath, thanks for joining us again. We will be back again a week from Wednesday to cover, regardless of who's left in it, whether we
Yeah,
have teams in it or not. We will give our. Let me put it like that: if we don't have nobody left, we'll give our final
yeah,
preview of it. If we do have teams left, then we'll preview them and
mhm,
wish them the best of luck and everything. So, but appreciate your time, Heath, and
yeah,
been a great thing. Something we want to expand on,
mhm,
and we'll work on that. And Phil, sorry you weren't able to make it tonight, and
yeah,
hopefully you can make it next week. And but for everybody that joins us, we appreciate your support, and be sure to go out and get the paper. It came out today, actually.
yeah,
The Times Journal came out today. I
yeah,
haven't got mine yet. I'll be getting it tomorrow,
yeah.
and
Yeah,
so
Sitting will come out today too. I haven't read Jason's, so I haven't seen it. But my headline was a Bears dozen, so with the
uh,
Bears winning, so that's what I went with.
and
So
it was a huge crowd out there Friday night at Plainview. I'm not going to say it was standing room only, but both sides of the bleachers was packed full. I have saw more people at games,
yeah,
but for what I've saw over the last few years, this was probably one of the bigger crowds I've saw in the last several years. And
yeah,
they had both teams, Alexandria and Plainview, had a bleachers both packed. And like I said, there were some people around the fence, but they were still plenty of room to stand around the fence. But as far as sitting down wise, I don't think there was a seat to be had in that place.
yeah. You know, if you're watching or listening, you're gonna watch later. It's the quarterfinals. Whether you're on the road or not, go support your team.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Tomorrow night or Friday night, go support them. They deserve it. Uh, and cheer them on, and hopefully cheer them to win, and get into the semifinals.
right. That way we'll have something to talk about next week.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah,
so for Heath Hamrick, I'm Howie, and thanks for joining us tonight. And join us next week, next Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. We will be covering the fourth round, the semifinals of the 2025 Alabama High School playoff brackets.
yep.
So, good night.